Resuming debate, the honourable member for Don Valley West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to begin tonight by thanking the member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan, for requesting this emergency debate on this very serious situation affecting the Rohingya people in Myanmar. I wanted to let him know that I did have the letter drafted and written, ready to go to request this, and I have no resentment whatsoever, only respect for him and that he was able to request this debate. And I'm very glad that the Speaker offered to have this debate and that members from all parties have engaged in it with competence, with compassion, and with great concern. This is Canada's Parliament. It's the House of the People. And in the House of the People, we take time to debate matters of great concern as well as urgent matters. And tonight we are developing a narrative that I think I am hearing from all sides of this House that is lifting up the concern that Canadians have been expressing around the atrocities that are being experienced by the Rohingya people in Myanmar. The people of Don Valley West have spoken to me about this. Last weekend, I met with several hundred of them in a park setting where they were raising funds for the Rohingya people, and they asked me to bring their concerns to the House of Commons, and I'm very glad that we have the opportunity to do that tonight. Mr. Speaker, I need to say that I'm outraged, and I am tonight expressing the outrage of the people of Don Valley West at, again, a situation in our world that needs to be stopped, and we as Canadians need to call upon world leaders in this country and around the world to engage in a new way of doing world politics. Comme tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes,
like all Canadians, I am very concerned by the persecution of the Rohingya. Based on reports coming from the region, the Rohingya are being subjected to ethnic cleansing. The Prime Minister has said that the responsibility to resolve this crisis is directly incumbent upon Aung San Suu Kyi and the leadership of the Myanmar government. Mr. Speaker, we must express our condemnation and exhort Aung San Suu Kyi to ask that an end be put to this violence and protect civilians. We will continue to support the Rohingya people. The treatment they have been receiving is unacceptable and cannot last.
Important. And in his letter to the State Councillor, he has called upon her to live out the expectations that Canada had when they offered her honorary citizenship. And in a very strongly worded letter, he has demanded that she absolutely condemn the violence that is taking place in her country and find ways to bring together the peoples of that country in peaceful, just, and long-lasting ways. The Rohingya people are recognized by the United Nations as probably the most persecuted minority in the world. In recent months, 214 Rohingya villages in Myanmar were torched to ashes, according to satellite pictures taken by Amnesty International. 50% of all those villages have been destroyed, Human Rights Watch estimates. 400,000 refugees now have fled Myanmar into Bangladesh since August 25th, according to UNHCR. More Rohingya refugees have fled to Bangladesh in the space of 4 weeks than the total number of refugees who have fled by sea to Europe from Africa in 2016. 80% of the 400,000 refugees arriving in the last month have been women and children. Among the women, a United Nations survey found that 52% of them had been raped. Bangladeshi officials say landmines have been planted on Myanmar's side of the border, posing a threat to every single Rohingya facing terrorism, facing persecution, and trying to save their lives. The Kofi Annan-chaired Advisory Commission on Rakhine State's final report recommended urgent and sustained action on a number of fronts to prevent violence, to maintain peace, to foster reconciliation, and to offer a sense of hope to the state's hard-pressed population. This important work, in addition to dozens of other reports from several international groups, have repeatedly condemned the actions of the Myanmar security forces. I've been very pleased that the Burma Task Force Canada have taken time to educate us. We are new to this issue, newer than we should be, many of us. I do know that the Subcommittee on Human Rights has looked at this issue. I know that the Foreign Affairs Committee has looked at it. I know that others have raised the concern. However, we have not done enough as a Parliament, and I would say our government still has not done enough. I commend them for their strong condemnation of the actions of the military. I commend them for their strong exhortation to the State Councillor to live up to the expectations of our Canadian citizenship. I commend the Minister for Development, who is offering aid both in Bangladesh as well as to those who may have to flee to other places, but we can still do more. The Canadians who live in Don Valley West are telling me that they would like the government to consider matching grants, that every charitable dollar that is raised in Canada should be matched by the government. I am hoping tonight that we can raise that issue with the government for them to further consider that as well. As we express our outrage, we recognize that we could spend a lot of time debating the language we use around this. I want to simply say to this House and to the people of Canada that I don't have time for debate on the issue. What we have to do is save lives, to find a way to garner peace, and to be about being humans in a place that has increasingly become inhumane. I asked this House, through the Speaker, did we not learn lessons from the Armenian genocide to stand up and do everything that we can do to stop this atrocity? Are not the scars of the Jewish Holocaust profound enough for us to learn to stand with vulnerable people who are raped, killed, driven from their homes? Again and again, as humanity, we have faced this, and we don't seem to learn the lessons. I have heard it from all sides of this House that we need to find new solutions to international crises like this and to domestic crises that are happening within countries' borders. We're not there yet. So we need to act, and we need to find ways to act multilaterally, we need to act bilaterally, and need to act to encourage Canadians to reach into their pockets to make sure that we can provide humanitarian aid as we need. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm not totally new to this issue. When I was first serving as a Member of Parliament a number of years ago, I had a young man come to see me about several development issues. His name was Rees Ahmed. Rees engaged with me in conversation as a smart, bright, young student at the University of Toronto. And as the conversation pursued, I asked him where he had originally come from, where his family had come from before they came to Canada. And he said it was a long story. And I said, tell me the story. And he told me the story of the Rohingya people. He told me the story of having a family that had left their homeland, stateless, and citizenship had been revoked from them. They found a home in Bangladesh, and they made their way finally to Canada as refugees. He told me the story, and it broke my heart, and I recognized how little we know in Canada about that people. It's only estimated that there are 400 people in Canada of Rohingya background. However, there are 35 million Canadians who need to stand with the Rohingya people. We're doing that tonight. As we gather in this place, we talk, we offer words, we debate, we offer sentiments, we offer our outrage. Now we call upon the government to keep pressure on the state of Myanmar, on the military forces that are running that country, on multilateral partners that need to work together with us, and we need to find a way that this never happens again. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you again for the opportunity we have tonight to express Canadians' outrage and to gather in this place with a commitment, not only in this case, but in every situation where human beings are at risk, where humans and humanity is not living up to what we would call each other to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions in